Today we are going to start with the selection or the final interview. I hope you remember that we had done, there are different types of selection tests based on which the candidates human traits and work behavior can be tested. Okay, and now we are going to do the selection in the final interview. Somebody's mic is making noise. Can you please mute your mic? Can you mute your mic? All right, thank you. Okay, now the selection of final interview. This involves a face-to-face conversation between the employer and the candidate. Normally, the selector asks the job-related and general questions, and the way the candidate responds is evaluated by the selector. The basic objective of interview is to cross-check the information which the candidate has given in the application form and like what he has performed in the test, and also to give a clear picture of the job and the company to the candidate. Now, sometimes what happens is some qualities are not being able to judge in your test and the application form. So an interview is a must where we can have a face-to-face talk with the candidate, and even the candidate can get information about the company in case he wants. Now, but interview also has some drawbacks. Interviews basically are time consuming and expensive device. Another disadvantage is it tests only the personality of the candidate, not his skills. At times it can happen the interviewer is not an expert and is not able to get the correct information from the candidate. And lastly, the interviewer can be biased at times, and maybe the result of the the interview process are not accurate. Okay, now we have to take note that we have to be very careful while taking an interview. The interview should be taken in proper physical environment. There should be no noise and no interruption. The environment should be very quiet and confidential. It is the duty of the interviewer that he has to make the candidate comfortable. He should be put at ease so that he can answer confidently and he can pay full attention to the candidate. So these are the points, some important points in the interview process. You can get a short note on how the final interview is conducted or what are the drawbacks of the interview. Am I clear with this?
Ma'am.
Yes.
And what do you mean when you say that the interview can also be biased?
See, for example, if the candidate, the interviewer knows the candidate, okay, the interviewer knows the candidate, it may happen that now we come to the next one, that is group discussion. Normally in an interview, the candidate does not get an opportunity to show his leadership ability. So the group discussion is done. It is useful means of judging the leadership ability and the social traits of candidates. Normally in group discussion, a problem is given to a small group of candidates, around 8 to 10 candidates. Then members discuss about the problem, they interact with each other. The observer who's sitting there, he will see how each and every candidate is involved in the discussion, like who will take the initiative to start the discussion, how they will argue, how will they put up their opinions in that group discussion. Based on all these things, based on the leadership quality of the candidate, his behavior, his judgment, his temperament, all these things are being noticed by the judge, and then they are observed and they are ranked according to their participation in the group discussion. And now normally group discussions are widely used in the management schools, where the jobs are selection processes for supervisors and executives. So a group discussion is normally done in the schools, in the management schools. Now group discussion requires a lot of time, because as you know, as I just told you, that a problem is given to the candidates and a lot of observation is done depending on their a discussion thing. So we require a lot of time for group discussion. So it is one of a disadvantage of it. Sometimes the environmental circumstances or situation is not apt for the candidates, and the candidate is not able to perform well. Even that is one of the disadvantage of this. So at times it is very difficult to administer the group discussion than a structured interview. Am I clear, children, about the group discussion part? Any doubt in the group discussion? Next one is medical or physical examination. Now, after the candidates are found suitable after the interview, they are called for a physical or a medical examination. Basically, the medical checkup of the candidate is done by a panel of doctors, basically to ensure that they are healthy and physically fit for the job. A proper medical examination also shows that he does not suffer from any serious disease, which may create some kind of problem in future. All right. Now, the next one is checking references. Now, every candidate is required to give one or two references in his application form, the person whom he knows. Now, what happens is these persons are contacted either over a phone or maybe through an email to collect the information about the background of the character of the candidate. Now, again, this checking reference has a disadvantage that the reference may not be as frank, or he's not giving his opinion correctly about the candidate, or sometime again information given by the reference can be biased, that is in favor of the candidate. So see, you can see that every process which is jotted down here, they have some merits and some demerits also. Okay, any doubt with about the checking reference? Children, any doubt about that is your final approval. Now, the candidates who are found suitable after the medical checkup and the background investigation are formally appointed by giving them a appointment letter so that they can join the duty by a specific date. Now, the candidates are normally appointed on a probation period. That probation period can be maybe 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. It varies from organization to organization. Now, what happens is after going through all this process, we appoint a job. Now, why do we need to give a probation period? Any idea? Why are we not putting them directly as a permanent employee? Why are we putting them on probation period for 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years? Can anybody tell me?
Can I answer?
Yes. Yes.
It's so that the company can see if they're able to perform well on the job.
Excellent answer. Yes, correct, Ashlesha. Absolutely correct answer. See, we can judge a person based on the test or on the interviews, but yes, we don't know how we'll be able to perform on the job. So we give him a probation period. We see him on job for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, and after we are satisfied that yes, the candidate can perform well or satisfactory, then he's made permanent after that duration of probation period. Okay, I think
Ma'am,
with this, yes.
I have a. Then what is the difference between an intern and this person?
Intern is something different. Intern is a training program.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is a proper selection process where you are selected for a job in the company. Intern is a part of your education process and the training process. While getting your education, while getting your degree only, you have an internship of 6 months or 1 year. They don't promise you a job there.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
That is hands-on. Yes.
Interns are not paid, right?
The last point is placement. Now, selected candidates are put up on or posted on an appropriate job. This is called placement. Basically, placement is the process of assigning a specific job and workplaces to selected candidates. We basically here match the candidate with the job. Now, if the placement is proper, what will happen? It will improve the efficiency of the work. Plus, it will also give satisfaction to the employees. So, while placing the employees, it is very important that we see the requirement of the organization and the qualification and experience of the candidates while putting him on a job. So placement is putting the right person on the right job, which will increase the efficiency of the work. So these are the 9 steps of your selection process. Now you have to understand that it is not necessary that all the organization follow all these steps. Some organization may follow few steps, some organization may not follow. A simple example is if I talk about your medical test. Okay, now it is not important that every organization will take a medical examination in their selection process. It may not be a requirement. For example, if I talk about a teacher, when they are coming, for your demo or they come for your selection. Now, the next process is your training process. Now, what is training? Training is a process of increasing the job knowledge and skills of employees. Now you have to understand that training is given once the candidate is appointed for the job. The last process we have done where the selection process, in the selection process, the last step was we have placed the employee to the right job. Now, after getting him placed on the right job, the company has to give him some kind of training so that his job knowledge and skills are improved. Okay, now basically what happens, this is a two-way process. How two-way process? There has to be someone to learn. That means the candidate, the employee who is appointed, he has to learn, and there is someone to teach. Someone to teach means the employee is being given a training by a trainer. So there is a trainer and an employee. So it's a two-way process. And the trainer has a training program. He's preparing a training program depending on the knowledge and the skills he wants to give to the employee. Am I clear with what you mean by training? Children, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sana, are you clear? Sana?
Yes, ma'am.
Samradhini, are you clear with it? Samradhini? Samradhini, are you there? Now, what are the aims and objectives of training? First is to prepare the employees for the job by imparting the required knowledge and skills. Okay, so through training, we are preparing the employees for the right job by giving them right knowledge and skill about the job. Second thing is to enable the employees to work more efficiently on their present jobs by exposing them to latest concepts and techniques. Like when you are put up on a job, you need to know certain concepts and techniques related to the job. So it will increase the efficiency of the employee if he's given a proper training. The third thing is, third objective is, we are building a second line of competent offers. That means if I give training to the candidate, I'm preparing him for a promotion to a higher post. If he is competent enough, he is good enough, so to perform, I will promote him in future to a higher post. So we have three objectives of training, right? Giving him the right knowledge and skills. Second thing is exposing him to the latest concepts and techniques. And the last one is making him get promotion in future. I hope I'm clear with this.
Yes.
Somebody's mic is on. Can you please mute your mic? Children, these sessions are getting recorded. Now, training is beneficial both to the employer and employee. You have to understand that. This is very important. A well-trained employee is an asset to the enterprise. Why? Because if the employee is trained and is efficient enough, what will happen? The efficiency and the productivity of the employee will be high. Okay, the employee will also get a job security. If he's good enough, he can get a promotion and more salary. In case the training is not given to the employee, what will happen? He will do every work by trial and error. So that will do what? That is he's doing a wrong way of doing his job, and time involved will be more. So it will be more time consuming. There'll be more wastage of things, and the work will not be efficient if he's not given proper training. So to minimize the time, minimize the cost, minimize the wastage while working on the job, it is very important to give training to the employees. So we have some benefits, or you say importance of training. First one is higher productivity. Normally training helps to improve the job performance of the employee. As I just mentioned, it makes the employee more efficient. The quantity and the quality of the job and the performance increases, and that will result into what? That will result into more sales and more profitability. So you can see they all are interrelated. If the employee is efficient enough, he will do a better job. If he does a better job, the quantity and quality of job will increase. That will result into more sales, and automatically that will result into more profit. That is your first benefit of training. Second point is reduce supervision. If the employee is trained enough, if he is good enough, he's self-reliant, he does not require continuous and intensive supervision by his superior or his employer. So that means it will save time of the superior. He doesn't have to go and check the employee again and again whether he's doing his work properly or not, if he is trained properly. So this is a benefit to the employer. Okay. Next is better safety. As I just told you, that if the employee is given proper training, he will work very nicely, he will do optimum utilization of resources, he will use the devices, he will use the machinery very efficiently. A simple example is, you all have educoms in your classes. If the teachers are given proper training about how to use the educom, they will use the devices very safely. It will not lead to spoilage of the device, that is your CPU, your UPS, or the mouse or the projector. But if a candidate is not given a proper training about how to use the educom, he will use his trial and error method, and in that he might damage the device, he might damage the educom system. Am I clear with that, children? Children, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if training is given, he will make less mistakes, he will be more proficient, there will be less accidents, he will be more safety conscious, and he will use the devices, that can be any device or machinery, more better use of safety devices will be done. Next we come to economy. Now economy basically means the trained employee will make better and economical use of material and machinery. As I just mentioned you, he is given a proper training, so there will be less wastage. So training will lead to what? Reduce wastage, reduce breakage, reduce spoilage, so the damage will be minimized. Less damage to the machinery and the material by the employee. So again, this is a benefit for whom? This is a benefit for the employer. So that is, there is less wastage and damage. Next is higher morale. Now, if you are, just imagine that if you have been given training and you know that how to use your machinery or a device, what will happen? You will be more confident. You will have a positive attitude that I know how to use the device. So you are becoming more confident. This will result into what? This will result into better work by the employee, which thereby will give him better rewards. Better rewards mean his financial incentive. They can be a promotion, there can be more salary. So he will be getting motivated to work more efficiently. His morale will be boosted. So this will reduce what? This will reduce the absenteeism and the labor turnover. So here the high morale can be for both. For the employee, by increasing his morale and self-confidence. For the employer, how? There will be less absenteeism and less labor turnover. Am I clear, children? Children, am I clear?
Ma'am,
Yes?
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you explain how is it for the employer?
Next point is promotion and career growth. Now, training enables employees to acquire knowledge and skills for more responsible jobs. So, for example, if I have given you training, if the the employee has been given a training, he's become more efficient, he's become more confident, he's got more knowledge and skills to perform jobs of higher responsibility. So he can earn promotion. So he will be getting promotion. Thus, what is happening? His career growth is on a rise. Yes, his career growth is, his curve is going up. So training will help him to get promotions and have a career growth. Next point is stability and growth. Now, through training, organization can develop its future executives and ensuring stability. As I just told you, that the employees who are trained enough, they can be put up into on any job. They are trained enough so that they can get a promotion. So what happens is, a trained employee will be trained in such a way that he can do different types of job. So employees can handle variety of jobs. With the help of well-trained staff, what will happen? The organization will grow. The organization will expand and diversify. So training also leads to stability of the employees of the organization, plus the growth of the organization. So now this is a benefit to the employer, to the organization. Now we are coming to the last point, and we have only 1 minute left. Please join back again. Okay, the last point is improvement in customer service. A good or trained employee will provide better customer service. Okay, he'll be able to tackle the problems of the customers properly. He'll be able to handle the grievances of the customers in a very positive way. So this is again a benefit for what? For the employer, for the organization, that they are giving good service to the customers and customers are happy with them.